So in this video I want to talk about a practical solution to conquer anxiety, social anxiety and fear. And this can be around people, public speaking, and it can also be in life situations. So anywhere where you've got a fear and anxiety, this is the technique that will help you to overcome it 100%. Now I want to be honest with you, it's not easy. It's not going to be a quick fix. This is something that you're going to have to work at. But I can promise you this, if you stick with it and you commit to it, and you be patient and you stop worrying about what others think and you don't give up, even if it's really difficult, you just keep going and you have a long-term goal, you're going to transform and you're going to be so much more confident and you're going to be less anxious and you're going to develop tools to control your anxiety. So if you're new to my YouTube channel, I really appreciate you coming on. My name's Jonathan. I'm a confidence coach. I've been coaching now for almost 11 years. If you didn't know my story was basically I suffered with anxiety all my life. Terrible anxiety from a child, from being bullied at school and just being very insecure, very sensitive. My anxiety also led on to social anxiety, shy, just really afraid of people seeing me embarrassed, uncomfortable. So for many years my anxiety, it plagued me. I had a lot of depression, a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment. I tried to avoid any situation where I'd get awkward, where I'd fail. I was just so frightened of life, of making mistakes, of people bullying me, of embarrassing myself. So when I got to my late 20s, age 28, sorry, no, a bit younger than that, I just got so sick and tired of being depressed. I was having panic attacks every day. I moved out of my parents' I had my own little place, but I was scared to look for a job. I couldn't talk to my neighbours. I didn't want to make eye contact. I was so ashamed from the things that happened to me at school, and I was so disappointed and angry and frustrated with myself because I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was a loser, and I was always really frightened that I'm not going to get a girlfriend because I've got all these issues. I don't have any confidence. How am I going to make money? You know, I struggled to keep jobs. I was a hard worker, but I was always panicking, always worrying about something bad happening or me upsetting someone. So I just lived in abject fear for such a long time, and I was always so ashamed of what people thought about me. I was always worried of people finding out that I felt the way that I did about myself, and people like scrutinizing my life. I just felt like I haven't achieved anything. I didn't go to university, I don't have much money, I'm not successful at anything, I'm not very talented, so I couldn't stop these judgmental voices just taunting me. So after getting to such a low place of rock bottom, I went back to, well, I was always a believer. I always believed in Jesus. I was slipping in and out of my faith, obviously, right? But I started praying. I started praying to God and saying, please help me. You know, I just want this feeling to go away. I just want to be normal. And through some praying, a friend of mine had a book by a man called Les Brown. And he said to me, you should read this book. And I was quite defensive and ignorant at the time, and I just weren't really interested. But for whatever reason, later on, I went on my phone at the time. This is when YouTube first came out. And I think I YouTubed Les Brown, and one of his videos came up. And I listened to his story, and it just motivated me. It made me cry because he spoke about being called the dumb one at school, the kids laughing at him, growing up poor. And I just thought, God, this sounds like me. You know, a lot of the things that I went through, and that's how I feel. Then he went on to say, you know, you can achieve your dreams and you've got to rise above the opinions of other people. And he said one of his teachers and mentors said, you know, when he was getting bullied and the kids laughed at him when he was younger, someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. And then he started to speak about, you know, you will fail your way to success. And that just completely freed me of feeling terrible and feeling ashamed, because my whole life I felt ashamed for failing. I failed a lot and I got beaten up, and I felt like that was a failure, and I didn't pass exams at school, and I had a lot of learning difficulties, and you know, I felt stupid. Everybody else was ahead of me, so my whole life just felt like failing, and I just hated that feeling. So I didn't try new things, I didn't travel. Everything was just it just intimidated me. So when Les Brown's basically said it's okay to fail, but as long as you don't give up, and it doesn't matter how many times that you fail, as long as you keep trying, and as long as you change your mindset, you work on being positive, you get help, you go to seminars. It was just obvious advice that a lot of the things that, you know, my dad installed in me about hard work, a lot of those values. But obviously, you know, when you're young sometimes, I didn't always want to listen to my parents, you know, pride, being a man sometimes. So Les Brown was able to reach me at a time where I was unreachable. Most people couldn't reach me because I was so hurt, so angry, so resentful, so depressed, so insecure. So when he started to say these things, you know, the words that he said, they went beyond logic. You know, these things, they got to my heart, and I was surprised. I was crying because I didn't really, crying wasn't something I was comfortable with, especially at that time, you know, being young, and I felt like that's not a man. I just broke down. But the crying was like, I felt relieved. I just felt like so much pressure has been lifted, and I just said, thank God, you know, this man has really made me believe I can do this. I was crying with joy because I was like, I'm going to get a girlfriend, I want to make my parents proud, I want to be normal, I'm going to get confident, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to be able to be proud of myself and meet new people and not be living in shame, you know, for what? Like, I was quite a good person growing up. Obviously I wasn't perfect, but most of this it weren't right, what was done to me. But I didn't want to be a victim, and I didn't want to live in hate and unforgiveness. I kind of started to realize these things, and he spoke about letting go of anger. So his whole thing was about becoming successful, but becoming a better person, and, like, you know, being yourself and not caring about what people think, and not living small. And there's no excuses of Les. You know, it doesn't matter if you didn't get an education at school. It doesn't matter if you grew up poor. It doesn't matter if you had a drug problem or if you had an addiction. As long as you were committed to changing your life, you could do it. And I've at a time where I was very skeptical of people. I didn't really trust many people. My mum, my dad, a few friends, that was it. And I didn't trust businessmen at the time. I just thought they just want your money. I trusted this man. I could tell this man was genuine. And he said a lot of things like, it's possible, you know, and it made me laugh. All of his affirmations, it's possible, you can live your dreams, you know. And he told his story. You know, he would say growing up on an abandoned building and on an abandoned estate, being adopted at birth, my baby mama, all these, it was a brilliant energy. You know, the man just reinstored faith in myself. And I honestly believed, I was in a dingy flat in Fulham Broadway. I was struggling. I was on job seekers allowance, and emotional. And when I heard this man's YouTube video, I literally said out loud, I know I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do this. I'm not having this. I'm not having people putting me down. I got put down a lot, bullied. I got called names. I got called dumb. I got called ugly, awkward, stupid, unintelligent. I thought, I'm going to prove to all these people how wrong they are, and I'm going to rise above my circumstances, and I'm going to change my life. I didn't exactly know how it was going to look, and interestingly enough, I always wanted to help people, despite being helpless and hopeless myself. And Les Brown said, you know, through his message, he actually said in his talk, you've got the ability to change millions of people's lives, but you don't believe it now. You don't believe in yourself, but that's fine. I believe in you, and you'll come to believe that, and you'll come to see that. And I thought, I'd love to do something what he's doing. I'd love to turn my life around and be able to tell my story and be a good example for all people, for men and women, especially people that suffered with this horrible anxiety disorder, this shyness, this depression, this lack of confidence, this sensitivity, and not just having no life. It's this, you know, I was living, but I was existing. I was living and breathing, which is obviously a gift, but I was dead inside. You know, I really was a dead person inside, just coping with life, and it was horrible. You know, always wanted to give more back to people. So he said, you got to take action. You can't just read books. You've got to go out. You've got to develop your communication skills, because he said, when you open your mouth, you tell the whole world who you are. And I understood that. You know, my mum and dad taught me these values that, you know, if you don't have good manners, it doesn't make a good impression. So within being yourself and not caring about what people think, you've got to care about people. You've got to have respect. So Les Brown, same as me, Christian values. So everything he said, nothing I didn't agree with. And the passion that he had and the determination, you know, it just got me into a space where I just didn't care anymore what people thought about me. They could say what they want. It wasn't important anymore. What was important is me being who I felt God had made me to be, and go on and fulfill my dream, which was always just to be happy. You know, I didn't care for cars and all that. I just want to be a nice relationship, lovely girlfriend or a future wife, earning good money, doing what I love, help my family, be able to go on holiday. I don't even care about a big house. It's a nice place to live. Just enjoy life, the basics, and to teach, to speak, to overcome this fear, because it's such a contradiction being how shy I was and insecure. Most of my anxieties were around speaking because of the shame of my voice, my appearance, who I was as a person. So listening to Les Brown reinstalled courage, and he spoke about that. So now it was up to me. So that's what I'd done. I did what he said. I went out, I'd done public speaking. I practiced in every area where I was frightened. I started practicing talking to women, asking women out. I got rejected, I was nervous, I didn't give up. I eventually got confidence, got a girlfriend. I started my own business. I went to events, I took courses, I got around positive people, I made friends, I travelled. I'd done all these things that I couldn't do before. I'd done boxing, I'd done amateur boxing, I did weightlifting. Literally, the man changed my life. The man he transformed my life through one video, one message, a 15-minute video. And it was just, yeah, so the technique that I learned is one thing only. You've got to face your fear, and you've got to get used to that feeling. And what was holding me back my whole life, guys and girls, I used to be ashamed when I felt that feeling, and I couldn't cope with it. I told myself that. And I didn't realize that you can train yourself and tell yourself, I can handle this feeling. Everybody feels fear and anxiety. You can learn to enjoy it. So doing public speaking, going on first dates to overcome my fear of dating and eventually get a relationship, starting my own business, doing YouTube videos, communicating, going through the awkwardness helped me to get the confidence to speak better and get my voice out clear and to relax more. It was an uphill struggle every step of the way, but my confidence just went from strength to strength, and eventually I was able to build my own business and coach other people. So there was really nothing else to do, and of course there were times where I failed, but I just tried again and I got better next time. So there's no amount of tries. It's not, you can just keep going, and that's what you've got to practice, guys and girls. For those of you that want to turn your life around, you've got to learn to be able to handle your anxiety, whether it's getting on a plane, whether it's going to a social meetup, whether it's talking to your mum and dad, whether it's going to work. It doesn't really matter what area or situation it is. The main premise is you've got to develop the skill of controlling your anxiety. And what I'm doing now in this video, I could never have believed I could have done this, because I was so anxious when I was younger. I couldn't speak without stuttering. I couldn't look at the camera. I couldn't do it. I couldn't think of all these things to say. But I've been practicing speaking for almost 11 years. I'm still improving. Anyone can do this. I've helped so many clients who were shy. I'd actually say people that are really, really shy and anxious, they can make the most progress. And if you're asking yourself, why is that? Because they've come from so much pain. They're so driven. They've got so much passion, where maybe some people that have got a little bit of nerves, but they didn't suffer to the degree that maybe I did, or you did, or some of my clients. Anyone can do it, but it's hard work, it's setting goals, and it's not judging yourself when you get anxious. If you get anxious, you just go, okay, I've got anxious, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't make me a bad person. Go again, try again, and just practice treating people how you want to be treated, and you just get better and better. It's a skill. Learning to manage anxiety and fear and social anxiety is no different to any skill. The skill of singing or writing or boxing, it's a habit. It's a habit that you build through repetition, through practice, and the more you do it, the more you face situations which are uncomfortable, the more comfortable you become. So you're not going to be anxious forever. You're not going to feel awkward forever. That's the fear that used to haunt me all my life. You're never going to get rid of this. You're always going to be uncomfortable around people. You're always going to be shy and awkward around girls. It's not true. With practice, with regular work, you can change your life. And there's so many people that have done it, and not just people that I've coached. So anyone can do it. So that's my story, and the technique came from my life experience, what I went through, and all of the exposure therapy, which is just a fancy psychological term that I like. Exposure therapy basically means any fear that a person's got, whether it's getting on a plane or spiders or people or public speaking, if that person gradually exposes themselves to the very thing that makes them fearful, they will eventually either completely overcome the fear, that's the best outcome, or Secondly, they will become less anxious and they will become desensitized, which just means basically that your body adapts. Your mind, the human body is amazing, it adapts. The more you practice, the more it adapts to the stress levels, whether it's in social situations, and eventually, if you keep working at it, there's certain situations where you've got no fear at all. It's the best feeling in the world. Money can't buy this. So that's how you do it. I knew it would happen. Flies always come trying to sting me. So you practice it and you work at it. You just go at one pace at a time, whatever area it may be. So that's it. If you enjoyed me sharing my story and it's motivated you, let me know in the box below. Like and share this video. And as always, if you'd like to get some confidence coaching and have me mentor you, I do online coaching over Zoom and I do coaching in person for people that are struggling with anxiety, social anxiety and shyness, and they lack confidence. I help them to build confidence, move forward in their life, set goals and live a successful and meaningful life. All right, I'll speak to you soon. I really appreciate you listening to my story. Bye.